Good morning, my name's Bill and I'm an alcoholic. And today's share is called Two Worlds. Much of my childhood I've either shut out or I simply don't remember. Shutting out my past is more probable, where I can't really recall what should have been good times, exciting times as a child. And I'm talking here about birthdays, about Christmases, about opening presents and those parties I should have probably gone to and I didn't. All those happy memories that we should have had as children, all those wonderful times that we should have had as a family. But unfortunately, all of these I've just completely blanked out. Yes, I do remember tiny little snippets, but each of those little snippets of my past are always tinged with sadness, of tears, of upset, of just not feeling a part of life. And unfortunately, that is the sum total of what should have been all my wonderful memories. Growing up, and throughout my drinking, I effectively lived in two worlds. I always have done. One world that I showed to everybody else, and one world that I didn't. My little alcoholic head, as a child, was jumbled up with whys and ifs, and what do they think of me? What should I be saying? How should I act? What should I do? And it was also jumbled up with a lot of resentments and fears, even as a little boy at those very early tender years. However, the face I showed to the outside world was one filled with optimism, with hope, where I always had a smile on my face, where I never complained. I always avoided any arguments. I hated confrontation, and I absolutely circumnavigated any possibility whatsoever of criticism or public humiliation. But I always made sure I kept those two worlds completely separate. Why? Because one world was my reality, the one I lived in my head, and the other was what I wanted the world to see. Alcoholism lives in two different places. It's a world divided by what's happening within, by what's going on externally. Where one is how I feel, and the other is what I think I should think and feel. I always knew from a young boy that there was something different about me. I just intuitively knew I viewed life and the world a little bit differently than everybody else. But of course I couldn't tell anybody, because no one would understand. Why would they? And my biggest fear, if I did tell anybody, that they would just laugh at me. Going to AA for the first time, I ended up meeting people who thought the same as I did. And that's how one alcoholic identifying with another created a life within me where I didn't feel alone anymore. And I didn't want to drink. It was quite magical. The task of Alcoholics Anonymous is to remove paranoia, my loneliness, my fear of what you thought about me, any other innuendos from my life, where AA helps to eradicate resentments and low self-worth, and it installs some sensible thinking within me. It's about finding some manageability, not only in my life, but in my thoughts and in my visions and in my dreams and in my spiritual journey. The 12 steps aims to lower the highs in my life and lift up the lows, to sieve out the unwanted and combine with what's inside my head with what's on the outside, so that I can now walk around with purpose and with one personality, in one mind and in one body, and I can end up dealing with one thing at a time, one day at a time. And when I do manage that, recovery is really quite magical. So I can live for the first time in my life in this world with one aim, and that's to exist with a degree of humility and hope and happiness and serenity and peace that I once deemed completely impossible. Bill the Shirt, Bristol.